Hi, Nick.
Hey Chris. Hi Anna, Stephen, Paddy. What do you think of NFTs?
Waste of money.
I think it's just a load of ape jpegs, to be honest.
I just don't see the point in them.
Honestly, a scam.
You know what's funny? They are all completely wrong. They won't own just one or two NFTs. They will likely own thousands in the not too distant future, just like you. Let me explain. History is marked with people misunderstanding up and coming technologies that will ultimately change our world.
What is internet anyway? What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
Well, if you're the sort of person sat there currently shaking their head saying,
"Why pay $500,000 when you can just simply right-click and save it? Save yourself some money, you idiots."
then you will likely be archived with all the other dinosaurs. But let me rescue you from extinction. What are you missing? Well, let's get on the same page with the basics. NFT stands for Non-Fungible Token, which is a really fancy way of saying there's only one of a particular asset. There is only ever going to be one Mona Lisa, and if you tried to create another, you wouldn't be able to pass it off as the same thing. And then on the flip side, you have fungible tokens, which could be something we can replace, replicate, or swap. A really quick and easy example of this might be this £20 note from my wallet. I could easily swap this £20 note with you for another £20 note. So you might give me this £20 note, I give you this one back, and we're both happy with the transaction. It's fungible. So you get the difference, but then you might rightly highlight that both the Mona Lisa and money have been around for the last 500 years. So what's the great interest in fungible and non-fungible tokens all of a sudden if they've been around so long already? Well, the answer to this is advancement in technology. Only now in the last few years do we have the technology to register true ownership of assets without the need of a middleman. The status quo middleman structures that our society is built on are riddled with problems, and this is where blockchain solutions are going to come in to drastically improve our lives.
But Nick, how is a JPEG of an ape going to drastically improve my life?
Well, if I'm honest, it's not. But we have seen this sort of pattern before, if you think about it. Just look back to the late 1990s. Internet companies were all the rage and everyone was saying it was the future.
Every business, no matter how large, and no matter how small, will be on the internet in the year 2000.
It was full-on mania, with some companies having $700 million worth of valuations when they had little more than a domain name and a very basic website that you couldn't even interact with. We all know what happened next. Too many people woke up to the reality that valuations had far outstripped the realistic gauge of reality, and the bubble burst. Well, the NFT market, as we know it, is in very much the same way as the internet was in the late 1990s. There's now thousands of projects, all made up with amateur art, which are now being sold for annual salaries for the normal person. The party is going to stop. We just don't know when. But don't be fooled in thinking that NFTs are just internet art. It's a bit like thinking that the internet was only made for email, and we all know how the internet turned out in the end. So how could NFTs turn out? Well, let me highlight a few examples of industries which are failing us and costing us millions, if not billions, each year, and how NFTs could help us. Let's start with one of the most important ones of all, your identity. I don't know about you, but I very much want my identity to be non-fungible. I don't want to be replicated, swapped, or replaced. But this sadly isn't the case at the moment. Just in the UK in 2018, there were nearly 190,000 cases of identity theft in just 1 year. But this is madness, right? Because your identity is just for you. Well, this means our current system to track someone's identity is, quite frankly, terrible. But it does make sense if you think about it. How could a bank tell me apart from a scammer when we both use the same information? Same name, same address, same national insurance number, employer and salary. They can't. The information which I need to provide to confirm my identity is, well, it's fungible. Anyone can write my name, address, or any other information if they have it. It's not hard. If, however, everyone's identity was an NFT, identity theft would be virtually impossible as it could not be replicated. But it's not just your identity which can be improperly replicated. Take cash, for example. Cash from the outside looks fungible. As described before, you could easily swap a £20 note with another, but the government doesn't view it the same way as we do. If you look close enough, you'll see that each note has a very special serial number on each one. This one reads AK45561406, for example. There won't be another £20 note out there with the same serial number unless someone has illegally counterfeited it. And this is where we have a problem. Counterfeiting money is unbelievably still possible in this day and age, and it's actually rife around the world. The latest data we have estimates that at least 1 in every 40,000 notes in the world is counterfeited. Which actually, if you think about it, doesn't sound too bad. But then you need to consider that we have just short of $37 trillion worth of cash in circulation in the world. That tiny percentage is still worth over $1 billion in fake money. You wouldn't be able to do this if each note was its own NFT. The problems that blockchain technology can solve in just these 2 examples is worth billions. And that's before we even start talking about other forms of fraud, like designer clothes knockoffs, fraudulent supply chains, as seen with the horse meat scandal, events tickets, receipts of purchases, property ownership, hospital records. I could literally talk all day about faulty middleman systems and the benefits of blockchain, but I'll save you from it. But not all demand for NFTs is going to be cash related. I think there's going to be far broader implications for the use of blockchain technology, and it's all to do with authenticity and transparency. Take social media, for example. It doesn't matter where you look on Instagram, it's full of flexers and wannabe millionaires standing next to a Lamborghini or wearing the latest Rolex. Well, as it stands, we can only take for granted what we're being shown on social media. As an example, if you watch my channel, then you've likely seen an advert from this slimy turd talking about how he's flying back from the Antarctic or how he's just about to go to the spa. If you have had one of his adverts, then let me know in the comments below. Anyway, luckily for us, Greg has got 30 of his precious seconds to talk to poor people like us about how we can make loads of money from forex trading. It's so good apparently, he'd rather spend his time selling courses on it rather than doing it himself. Anyway, let's take a quick look at one of his opening adverts from back in 2015.
Hi, my name's Greg Secker, and you probably know me as the Millionaire Currency Trader.
Right, let's stop the video there. The way this advert is being portrayed is that Greg has his own Lamborghini, massive house, and a chunky looking Rolex. As it stands right now, it's pretty much impossible for me to prove or disprove if he actually owns these items, rents them, or even stolen them. I can only purely go off what he's deciding to show us. But imagine a world where everything has its own NFT. If I really wanted to, I could look up Greg's wallet and see if he actually has an NFT for a Lamborghini, a multi-million-pound house, and a Rolex. If he didn't, then somebody can call him out on being fake. But let's be clear, I'm no different. I've done several portfolio updates around my investments on this channel, and my viewers have to take for granted that I'm being transparent and honest and not actually photoshopping the numbers. But just imagine a world which is driven by evidence of authenticity, rather than the murky world of misleading advertising. We would all be spared from a lot more flexing posts on Instagram for a start. Personally, I can only see the use of NFTs exploding in the future, driving significant benefits to us all, whether it's financial or social. So now you understand the potential promises of NFTs outside of the ape JPEG bubble that we find ourselves in. But how can you participate as an investor without having to buy any silly images? Well, it's actually a lot more straightforward than you might think. All NFTs take advantage of what are known as smart contract networks. Without getting really technical, these are crypto platforms which are designed to be a base for all crypto projects, and their projects can be built on top of them. As an example, the current largest smart contract network is Ethereum, which actually is home to 2 of the most popular NFT projects at the moment, being the Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, which you've likely heard about already. Because I personally believe in the growth and adoption of NFTs in the future, but I don't necessarily agree with how NFTs are going at the moment, I've actually decided to invest in Ethereum directly as a way to actually buy part of that future, rather than being forced into having to buy the rights to a JPEG of an animal wearing a hat. This way, I've got a diversified slice of the NFT pie, rather than having to commit everything to just a handful of projects. But if you sat there as an investor and you're a curious onlooker of crypto without dipping your toes into the water yet, then I would highly recommend this video on the screen, which is a step-by-step guide on crypto and actually how to buy crypto also. I couldn't recommend it anymore. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.